Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Hello everyone, happy Wednesday, midway through the week, and it is also a very special day across the country. It is Let's Talk Day. 5 cents from every hashtag used on social media today, hashtag Bell Let's Talk, donating 5 cents towards mental health initiatives. So this day is really important for everyone, and that is our question of the day. We just simply want to know, how do you take care of your mental health? A recent survey in Lloydminster saw that 8 out of 10 people within this community alone are dealing with mental health issues. So it's obviously something that needs to be talked about. So we invite you to join the conversation, and we will be speaking with Malcolm Radke a little bit later, talking about some of the mental health initiatives here in Lloydminster that are available for anyone who needs to use them. So we'll get into that conversation. Definitely an important one.
Absolutely, super important.
Yeah, definitely. But first, let's go check in with our Brett Holden.
Today is Let's Talk Day, and today we are going to be talking to Tyler Lorenz. He is here at the Residence in Recovery. We spoke to Tyler a little bit before, a few months ago, just talking about his story with his My Why project, and we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the different programs that they offer here at Residence in Recovery when it comes to mental health. So we'll have a little bit more coming up from here, but first let's head back into the studio where Elise has a look at your local news.
And on Tuesday, a water facility has opened up their doors and taps to 3 new locations here in the Lakeland area. Our Brett Holden has the story.
Ace Water Corporation provides water services for numerous communities around the Midwest region, and on Tuesday they announced they will be supplying to 3 new markets.
This facility is now kind of up and running, and we kind of wanted to get that going, which has been nice to finally get going and get Marwayne and Kitscotty and Blackfoot on the schedule, so it's good.
The water used is sourced from the North Saskatchewan River and includes over 350 kilometers of pipeline for the full regional system. Ace says this process was a long one, but the payoff will be worth it.
The project started in 2000, and from there we've done almost the whole west side of our area, the 3 counties that we've dealt with, and then we switched over to move the water from this side. So it was a little bit easier for the government. This is what the government chose, to move to this route. It's been a good plan so far.
These communities have been getting their water from a well, and the shift to Ace Water is something the towns welcome.
Well, with the Ace water line coming through to our community, I think we have a little bit safer level of water. We've always run off wells. So with a well, you definitely have a degree of issues you would need to deal with. You need to make sure that all your operators are well trained in how they add the chemicals that are required to give you the best safe drinking water.
With the project now complete, Ace Water says they have more projects in the book.
So next for us is likely going to be Dewberry and Clondonald. That'll be the next move. Eiley's almost complete. We're just got the building coming up here right away. So I guess technically Eiley first, and then Dewberry, Clondonald, Paradise Valley's in that running as well. And then we've got a couple little communities on the west side that need to be handled by that west end.
Brett Holden, Primetime Local News.
And now we're going to send it to Brett Holden, who is on location today.
I'm here at Residence in Recovery, joined now by Tyler Lorenz. And Tyler, let's talk about just some things you guys offer here when it comes to just when you first come in, how people's certain mindset may be. What are the things that you guys kind of go through right off the top?
Many of the people that come in here, are really struggling still with mental health and addiction issues. So, we kind of go through the situation that they're in and find out where we can best support them, whether it be in our program and our daily programming, whether they need to go to detox, whether they're, thinking ahead to treatment. And then we kind of develop a plan with them to see, what meets their needs, and start, with the paperwork and making those calls, get them in to wherever we can.
And obviously that's not a one-day kind of quick deal kind of situation, right?
No, it's quite a long process in many cases, and that really is, half the battle, for individuals struggling, especially with addictions. The whole system can be quite overwhelming. There's a lot of different pieces that have to come together. So, you know, for most people, you know, it's another barrier, you know, that prevents them from getting the help that they need. So we help them with navigating that system.
Perfect. We'll have a little bit more coming up from here at Residents in Recovery, talking about Let's Talk Day. After our cast tonight on CTV, we will have a show called In Their Words, put on by Let's Talk. We'll have a little bit more coming up from here at Residents in Recovery, but let's head back into the studio where Michaela has a look at your weather.
All right, thank you so much, Brett. Still cold out there, sitting at -16, feeling like -26 as the snow does continue to fall in most of the areas across. And a polar vortex is making its way pretty much across the country from Saskatchewan to Quebec and then into the Maritimes. So we're in for some cold numbers, especially into next week. As we look to the satellite radar, a whole bunch of cloud cover and a lot of precipitation happening throughout the region. We're expecting quite a bit of snowfall, and especially on Friday. As we look to our watches and warnings, none currently in effect for our area, and North Battleford has been taken out of that cold, extreme cold warning. But as you can see into Saskatchewan, as we move further east and up north, still under that extreme cold warning out there. So do take caution. Could only take minutes for exposed skin to be subject to frostbite out there. So as we look to the temperatures across the map, they are sitting quite warm in Alberta. So 2 degrees in Edmonton, 2 degrees in Whitecourt, 4 degrees currently in Edson, -8 up in Athabasca. Cold Lake sitting at -16, -19 in North Battleford, currently -17 up in Meadow Lake, and even cooler as we move even further east, -26 in Prince Albert and -25 currently in Melfort. As we look to the broadcast area, North Battleford expecting some snow continuing on throughout the evening, -17, but we are warming up to the single digits tomorrow for a high of -4. Cold Lake -16, currently -15 overnight, so actually gaining a degree, and then a daytime high of -16 tomorrow. Expecting possibly up to 5 centimeters of snow in the Cold Lake area tomorrow. Here in the border city, expecting less snow tomorrow. We could see about 1 to 3 centimeters yet fall, but the majority of it did fall today, and then we'll see that pick up back again on Friday. So -13 is our overnight low there, and then on Friday -17, -19, and we're expecting 10 to 15 centimeters of snow, and then again about 2 to 4 centimeters on Saturday, with it getting cold at -22 for the daytime high.
Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Welcome back. Snow removal has started throughout the city. However, there are concerns relating to the residential areas. On Monday, the city started removing snow, and Mayor Alberts is reminding residents to be cautious of the machines.
Please be aware of the equipment. I've talked to our city crews and to contractors. They're very concerned about people going around the loaders, the graders, and the trucks. So please give them room. That's all I can ask.
Crews are out Monday through Friday from 7 to 5, and they ask that all cars are removed from the streets at that time.
Give them the space to allow them to do their job. They move through rather quickly. If you are left with a ridge of snow overnight, they'll be back the following morning, because what we're trying to do is ensure that equipment is working continuously from 7 till 5.
The city is asking residents to be patient, as the crews are trying to be as efficient as possible to get everything cleared away. And the second annual Celebrity Polar Splash is trying to raise money for Border City Connects, which helps residents with mobility issues. Prominent members of the community will take the chili dip February 18th, including Mayor Albers, if $15,000 are raised in his name.
We've got people from school divisions, we've got business owners, we've got some individuals, some management on financial institutions, so just a really good cross-section of people.
The money raised for the event will go towards the operating costs of the vehicles, mostly for fuel.
So the Border City Connects is known as previously as the handy van. So with the handy van last year, in 2018, over 16,000 trips were performed by the Border City Connects. So it's quite substantial.
Donations can be made on the Border City Connects website. The Celebrity Polar Splash will take place at the Service Sports Center on Family Day. And with a cold stretch about to hit, making sure that pets are get more attention is important for their well-being. Keeping pets inside is one of the ways to make sure they are warm. Caring for strays is also important as they may not have a place to go, even if you can't keep them in your own home.
They're more than welcome to call us and everything like that, but like we do get quite full on our cats. So if in a case where we recommend our waiting list just because we don't want to get overcrowded, you can always make little makeshift houses with straw, hay kind of thing to kind of keep them warm.
Since dogs are outside more often than most cats, it's important to make sure they're staying warm as well.
Like, you know, if they're indoor and outdoor dogs too, kind of the same thing. Sometimes there's dogs like kind of the Malamute breeds. They enjoy being outside. They want to be outside. They can handle a little bit longer. But yeah, if they are indoor outdoor dogs, they're the pads of their feet, they can be more susceptible to frostbite as well.
Checking in more often on the pets who are outside is another way to make sure that they stay warm. And play-based learning is a huge aspect of early development, and in this week's Beyond the Classroom, I take a look at what that looks like in Rendell Park's kindergarten class.
Let's see if we can I pick a color? What color should we use? Red. Red? Okay, we'll use red. Let's see if we can get in here.
Don't mix it up.
Okay. I spent the morning in Miss Brumman's class learning all about play-based learning, a technique that combines interactive play, fundamental skills, and social emotional skills.
And we know it's so important as early learners to be engaging through play. As you saw in there, that was more student-directed play that we have, where they are developing all the important skills for the whole child.
Not only is play-based learning very beneficial for the students, it also gives the teachers many teachable moments.
And also it gives me time as a teacher to observe them and see where they are in that development, as well as where their interests lie as well. You saw lots of penguins in there right now. We're in our penguin inquiry right now. So me as a teacher, being able to observe those things and then providing invitations, what we call invitations for learning, to see if we can extend those curiosities.
Play-based learning has become a daily tool in the classroom, and it's proven to be very motivating. Students want to play, and when they play, they learn. That's it for this week's Beyond the Classroom.
Beyond the Classroom is brought to you by Lakeland College. Apply to the hairstyling program and take the lead working with clients in the on-campus salon. Lakeland College, leading learning since 1913.
And now we're going to take a look at your stock market prices for today.
We restore more than just property. We restore hope. When disaster strikes, call the one that can make it right. First General Services, your property restoration experts.
Welcome back. Well, it's a sweet treat that cows love to eat, and Gerard Lampo meets a researcher who wants you to manage just how much your cows eat.
Preserving and siling compared to putting it into windrow.
When you get into extensive grazing for beef cattle, there's some things you need to think about. Dr. Bart Lardner is raising some of these points with producers, like the crop type for grazing and reducing the feed costs per cow while delivering the energy needed over winter ahead of calving season.
We know that dry lot costs are anywhere from $2.50 to $3 per cow per day, and so extensive grazing programs are going to be obviously a benefit. Because there's two reasons. Your labor costs are going to be reduced and your manure hauling costs.
Lardner says determine the crops that will work on your operation, example, small grain cereal, cool season or warm season crop.
So we talked about swath grazing, which is really growing that annual cereal. And we also talked about what's the correct stage of maturity to harvest that so that we have it at that right stage when the cows go out there to consume it.
Lardner speaks about his research over the years.
Some of that earlier work was done by Dr. Greg Penner and Christine Rosser at the university, showing that, if we went from soft dough to hard dough, we'd effectively double the effectively degradable dry matter. And so after 3 years, we found, yes, there was no negative effect on cow performance. In fact, we saw greater yields, greater biomass going from that soft dough to hard dough, especially in the triticale.
Lardner says producers may want to look at a more advanced stage of maturity before putting that cereal into a swath grazing program. He switched to corn grazing, which has come on over the last 20 years, especially with new varieties.
We're seeing these 2,000, 2,200 heat unit varieties are doing quite well in lots of parts of Western Canada. And the other way of managing corn, traditionally grown for grain and or silage, but now producers are wanting to graze it whole plant.
Corn meets or exceeds what a cow needs heading into calving. It's high in starch and fiber, so you need to make sure the cows don't overgraze.
And if they get steady starch intake for day 1, day 2, that's going to affect rumen metabolism. It's going to drop rumen pH, and there you're going to get digestive upset.
Gerard Lampow, Primetime Local News.
And that's your egg news. Sports is next, but first we'll take a look at your egg prices.
Every member of the City Centre Autobody team has been through extensive training. We're constantly upgrading our team's education to reflect current collision repair technique.
Taking a look at your local sports now, the Lloydminster Bandits have battled a shortage on the roster since the new year began, but are starting to find some chemistry again. This comes at a perfect time with only a few games left to decide their spot in the standings. Our Josh Ryan has more.
Despite getting their first win at home in 2019, the Lloydminster Bandits recognize that there's more work than celebration ahead.
We obviously gave up a lot more quality chances than we would have liked to, and that's things that we got to work on to get ready for 2 weeks' time.
Decision-making on the back end can be cleaned up, and the Bandits' special teams play needs sharpening as well.
That's a big thing in the playoffs is, if your special teams, they can win or lose you a series.
Just our defensive zone a little bit and knowing when to pinch and when to kind of back off to eliminate the odd man rushes, but there are things that we can fix in practice.
Being able to make good decisions while under pressure now will have an impact come playoff time.
Every team in this league, they like to pressure the puck a lot, and going into the playoffs, we're going to have to learn to play that 60 minutes of heavy hockey.
Goaltending has been one of the strong spots for the team this season, and that will have to continue.
We got confidence in both our goaltenders going forward here, and they're a big reason that we're winning hockey games right now.
The Bandits host St. Paul on Friday in Marwayne, then hit the road for the remainder of the league's schedule. How they fare will provide a good test for whether they can make a run in the postseason.
The next 4 games are against playoff teams that we're going to face probably in the first or second round. And it's just to get that confidence in the group.
Josh Ryan, Primetime Local Sports.
The Canadian Football League's draft combine is coming up in March, and this year there will be one player battling for a CFL job who hails from Bonnyville. Our Brett Holden has the story.
Jeremy Fagnan has spent 2 seasons with the St. Francis Xavier X-Men of Youth Sports, and in March, Fagnan will be battling for a spot on a CFL roster.
It's been pretty exciting. It's a shot. That's all it is. It's like there's no guarantees. It's a regional combine, but it's nothing more than a shot. You go there, perform well, and maybe get an invite to E-Camp.
The Bonnyville product played most of this season out of position, playing defensive back instead of his usual linebacker position, but he says that was not an issue for him.
In junior, my first couple years of junior, I played DB, so it wasn't that huge of a change, but it was it took me a while to just get acclimated moving from linebacker to DB, just moving back out in space again.
Fagnan says that he is going to be testing at the linebacker position at the combine, but before his time in Antigonish, Nova Scotia, he played for the Bonnyville Voyageurs, and he says he is proud to be a part of the growth of football in the Bonnyville area.
Playing Bonnyville football and just as an association has really been coming underway the last couple of years. It's pretty cool to be kind of I don't want to say the start, but one of the first groups that went went through the transition phase there as phantom football is being introduced, and then we got Pee Wee.
And when it comes to what team he would like to pick him in the draft?
Oh, I honestly don't care. I do not care. Just opportunity to play is more than enough.
Brett Holden, Primetime Local News.
And now we're going to send it to Brett Holden, who is on location today.
I'm back here at Residence in Recovery, joined with Tyler Lorenz now. And Tyler, let's talk. One of the main things that is talked about today is ending the stigma. What does that mean to you and to the people here at Residence in Recovery?
Well, stigma, really does prevent people from reaching out for support and getting the help that they need. In my situation, I dealt with what stigma and the thoughts that I had that, asking for help wouldn't get me anywhere, And every time I did reach out for support, there was just another barrier in the way. So, it tends to be something that, prevents people from getting the help that they really need.
And when it comes to, obviously, as you mentioned, reaching out is not always the easiest step. For you, what was the easiest part of being able to step out, even though it's not necessarily always an easy thing to reach out?
Well, really, I didn't really ask for help. It was kind of forced on me to start with. I really didn't even know what I was going to do when I finally got clean and sober and got the help that I needed. I was actually offered the help, and I think that's really, the best way that we can start breaking down the stigma is when, people are offering judgment-free support for individuals that they see need the help. Having individuals that are out there, reaching out to people, like we do here, and offering, programs that are free and barrier-free definitely will help break that stigma down and reach the people that really need support.
We'll have a little bit more coming up from here at Residence in Recovery, talking about Let's Talk Day. But first, let's head back into the studio where Michaela has a look at your weather.
All right, thank you so much, Brett. Starting it off with this snowy shot, definitely what we're seeing out there and we're going to be seeing over the next few weeks. Temperature-wise, we're sitting pretty cool right now, but we are warming up to a single digit tomorrow. But lots of snow is still on the way. -16 here in the border city, feeling much cooler than that once you factor in the wind chill, but we are in the positives in parts of Alberta, so 2 degrees in Edmonton right now. And then as we move out towards our way, it's getting cooler. So -10 in Vegreville, -15 up in Bonnyville, or Lac La Biche rather. It's -16 in Cold Lake, -15 for Pearceland, and North Battleford sitting at -19. As we move up north, many of these areas still under an extreme cold warning. So -20 up in Buffalo Narrows, also in the Loche, -25 in L'Orange. And then as we look into Alberta, look at that, 3 degrees in Grand Prairie, 1 degree in Peace River. So that polar vortex is coming through, but it's really hitting Saskatchewan all the way to Quebec. And then as we look even further south, even warmer, 4 degrees in Lethbridge and Calgary currently. And then look at that as we look into the east, quite the contrast. -11 in Swift Current, -15 in Moose Jaw, with Regina sitting at -22 currently. Numbers tomorrow, though, we're getting warm. We're getting to -2. And that's -4 in North Battleford, as the rest of the region is going to see quite mild numbers. -4 up in Lac La Biche, -6 for Cold Lake tomorrow, 0 degrees for Edmonton, but we are expecting some snow. As we just look to our radar here, that snow is really going to come down on Friday. We're expecting between 10 to 15 centimeters, and as you can see, we are just tapering on that dark blue area there, which means we can see about 15 centimeters. Here's a look at your hour forecast tomorrow. So we will be reaching that -2 around the 3 o'clock hour there. And then number-wise, we're getting quite cold next week. Now, Friday and Sunday, we could be expecting quite a bit of snow. Like I said, Friday is really when we are getting that 10 to 15 centimeters, and then really into those cold numbers. Look at that, -36 next Wednesday.
And now we're going to send it back to Brett Holden, who is on location today.
We're back here at Residence in Recovery, joined now by Tyler Lorenz. And Tyler, we had you on the show a little while ago talking about your project with My Why. Let's talk about your story and just for you being able to come out with your story as well.
Yeah, my why is doing a number of different mental health stories and, to break the stigma surrounding mental health issues. And it was an honor for me to participate in the second story. It was really difficult for me to, talk about my story because, my addiction and mental health issues, stem from my childhood. And I was stuck in my addiction for 29 years, and to finally, get the help that I needed, I had created quite a disaster of a life until that point. So it was nice, to participate in that project because, it really shows that everybody, that's struggling out there does have a story. And, there's a lot underneath the surface that keeps people stuck in their addiction or in their mental health. And, it's not really a reason to, condemn their behaviors. There's a reason behind them. So, it was nice to share that with them and have that put out there because I think, just having stories like that, will help break down the stigma and show that, this shouldn't be something that we judge people on. It's just a result of their experiences in life.
We're running a little out of time here, but I think I want to touch on if you had any advice for people who are trying to come out with their mental health or anything like that. What would your advice be to those people?
My advice would be to stop listening to the voices in your head. Unfortunately, one of the big parts about mental illness is that we convince ourselves that help is not available or that we're a burden on the people that care for us. It's all a lie that we tell ourselves, that our disease tells ourselves. Help is available, and all you have to do is ask for it, and it'll be provided for you. So, there's many programs such as ours, the Health Foundation, hospital, mental health and addictions. There's help all over the community, if people just want to reach out.
Perfect. We'll have a little bit more coming up from here at Residence and Recovery. But first, let's head back into the studio where Michaela and Elise are talking about your question of the day.
Well, with today being the Let's Talk Day, that is our question of the day. Just want to know, how do you take care of your mental health? I think this is a really important thing for everyone, no matter if you suffer or do not with mental health issues. Josh had a really great answer. He says, no, I don't have a singular grand strategy, but I think everyone, what they should do more often is pet a cat or a dog.
I was going to say that, actually.
Yeah, I think that definitely helps. And just want to put up a board here for anyone out there who is struggling. If you're in Alberta, there is a toll-free number for mental health crisis line there for you. And if you are a Saskatchewan resident, toll-free just by calling 811, and they can connect you with the resources there. So you're not alone, and just open up that conversation. I think anyone out in the community is pretty much willing to listen and offer a helping hand.
Absolutely.
So definitely a very important conversation. And as we turn to our pets of the day, I think that'll cheer everyone up who's having a difficult time today. Look at this. This is Daisy. Daisy's, look at that little face. Val said she actually got Daisy from the pet pad, so it would be great to go back there with a gift card. Next up, we have Tucker.
Aww.
Tucker's ready for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I'll be your Valentine, Tucker. That was sent to us by Amanda. Very cute. This is Turtle. Look at him.
Turtle.
Yeah, I love the
It's a good name for a
Yeah,
cat.
that was sent to us by Donna. Next up, we have Grim.
Aww.
Grim has had some fun in the snow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Erin, for sending that one in. And then look at this little trio.
Aw,
this
that's
is
cute.
Trixie, Gracie, and Scrap. Sitting on
Stacked
the ladder.
up.
Yeah, I think they were painting.
Yeah.
And that was sent to us by Brianna. If you have a pet that you would like to see here on our show, please send us a photo to our email or any of our social media accounts. Do include your pet's name, and if they are selected to be on the show, you'll be entered to win a $50 gift card to the Lloydminster Pet Pad.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
right, as we continue the conversation today around mental health, now joined with Malcolm Radke of the Lloydminster Region Health Foundation. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are talking Project Sunrise, and I just want to start off with a pretty alarming stat. You guys started this because of a mental health needs assessment was dubbed, or the Lloyd Needs, and 8 out of 10 people within this community alone said that they have been affected by mental health concerns, whether it's individually or through a loved one. So that's a pretty big statistic. So I want to start off with how did Project Sunrise start? And obviously it comes directly from a need from people in the community.
Yeah, absolutely. So the project itself kicked off when Richard and Barb Klinger made a generous donation of $100,000. They lost a family member to mental health issues, and they said, you know, something needs to be done. There's a huge problem in our community. So that kickstarted our interest in it. Obviously, we had a feeling there was a huge problem, issues all over community. So yeah, we executed the Lloyd Needs assessment survey, and like you said, basically had some actual stats that said, yeah, this is a pretty alarming issue.
Yeah, definitely. So through Project Sunrise, what kind of initiatives and mental health initiatives are now available here in Lloydminster?
Sure. So when we went to tackle this issue, we didn't want to just dump some money in one particular issue and then walk away. We said, how can we actually improve mental health in the community over the short term immediately, but also the long term, and actually solve this thing? So Project Sunrise spans anywhere from, you know, obviously working with the psychiatrists and psychologists in town for more counseling time, more resources for emergency mental health issues somewhere in the community. So that the really immediate stuff, but then also on the preventative side, working with, you know, school counselors, nonprofit agencies, basically anybody in the community actually spending time on improving mental health.
Yeah, that's definitely a great start. So obviously the community plays a big role in helping Project Sunrise. So how has that community involvement really helped this project so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So we said, you know, this will probably cost about $2 million if we want to do it properly. We want to invest $1 million right away into things that can get kickstarted, and then leave $1 million long-term endowment to essentially help mental health causes over the long term, not just for the next year and a half. The fundraising has gone very well. We've already cracked $1 million. The last 2 galas were donated to, were dedicated to it, and we've received many substantial, you know, 5-figure, 6-figure donations from people in the community who are concerned. So we know just based on the donor interest that this is an issue, and it's a cause we're supporting.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously days like today, the Let's Talk Day, come in to play really well with obviously Project Sunrise. So why do you think days like today are so important, and to start this conversation within our own community?
It's absolutely huge. If you look at Let's Talk, that's been around for 4 or 5 years. Compared to when they first started, it was kind of a, what's this issue, what's this cause? Now today, you know, every single person I've seen is tweeting about it or posting about it, sharing it on social media. That's huge. It's all about stigma busting, bringing down the idea that we can't talk about these things, that we have to act tough and deal with it on our own. So that's a huge first step, just awareness and support, knowing you're not alone. And then from there, if it escalates, here's the resources that are available to you.
Definitely. And for anyone looking for those resources, or even looking to donate to Project Sunrise, what is the best way to come in contact with you guys?
We created a pretty simple website, lloydminstermentalhealth.com. That's the best place to go for all the resources. Of course, if you want more foundation info, lrhf.ca/Project Sunrise about the fundraising side of it.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you, Malcolm, for coming in and sharing all these tips with us. If you are struggling with mental health, there are resources available here in the community, so definitely check them out. And I want to thank you so much for opening up that conversation with us today.
Thanks for having us.
We are joined today by Thomas Stangowitz. And Thomas, I'd like to thank you for joining us. And first thing I'd like to ask is your official title with Synergy.
I know it's a long handle. I am an insurance representative with Credential Financial Strategies, Inc., and an investment advisor with Credential Securities.
Okay, now one thing we want to talk about this time of year, it's a time people should be thinking about RRSPs. So tell me what's happening when it comes to this. Do you get people that are calling you? Do you contact people that are your clients to kind of remind them, or what's exactly happening?
Yeah, so it's a very busy time of year. We're trying to make as many reach out calls as we can to our existing clients, but people are coming in to a couple things. One is to make their RSP contributions. So as you know, we're getting close to that deadline of March 1st when people need to contribute to their RSPs, or Registered Retirement Savings Plan,
Right.
So that they can use that deduction towards the 2018 tax year. And then the other thing is that as of January 1st this year, the federal government has increased the tax-free savings account contribution, or TFSA, contribution room to $6,000. So we're seeing a lot of people come in and take advantage of that as well.
Okay, now having an RRSP, it does reduce the taxable income. So how does that work, though?
Right. So basically, for every dollar that we contribute into an RRSP, it reduces our taxable income. So for instance, if you made $50,000 last year and you contributed $5,000 into your RRSP, well, it basically reduces your taxable income down to $45,000, and so that's the amount that we should owe tax on. And so the benefit is that we either have to pay less tax, or ideally we get that nice tax refund.
Okay, and what is the difference? You mentioned a TFSA. What's the difference between a TFSA and an RRSP? So
with a TFSA, when we contribute into them, we don't get that tax deduction like we do with an RRSP. So you invest in the tax-free savings account, and you can invest in stocks, you can invest in mutual funds, just a savings account. And over time, as that money grows tax sheltered inside of there, when we finally decide to take it out, there's no tax implications. Whereas with an RRSP, when we contribute, we get that tax deduction, can still invest in the same things, but when we go to retire and we pull that money out of there, it counts as income for the year that we withdraw it, and it's 100% taxable.
Right, okay. Now, you talked about being busy this time of year. What should people be doing at this point to set themselves up?
One of the things that I suggest to people to plan for the future is to maybe start doing a monthly contribution into their RSP. So setting aside that $100 a month is a lot easier than waiting until January or February to come in and have to come up with that lump sum of $1,200 or whatever the amount is. Not only because it's harder for us to come up with that lump sum of money, but we also have a lot of bills that are coming in this time of year, so maybe we've got that credit card bill from our Christmas shopping, or maybe we're wanting to take a bit of a winter vacation and we have that expense. So always much easier to just sort of do those little amounts throughout each month.
Okay, and the best thing, Thomas, then for someone to do if they have questions about this, contact their financial advisor, or they can, if they're new to this, give you guys a call?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can stop in and see us down, we're located in the new Synergy Credit Union building, or they can give us a call at 306-825-8110.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Thomas. And we will be back next hour with more information on RRSPs.